When life doesn't go as planned. Have you ever felt like your life was going completely off track? You had a clear plan, you studied hard, worked with integrity, loved wholeheartedly, and yet, the outcome was disappointment, loss, and doors closing right in your face. We've all been there. That moment when everything seems out of control. And then a very human question rises from within. Why me? What did I do wrong? If I've done everything right, why is life so unfair? We live in a society obsessed with control. Everyone wants to plan, optimize, and predict the future. But life doesn't operate like an Excel spreadsheet. It's messy, unpredictable, and often paradoxical. In Buddhism, there's no such thing as random or meaningless mistakes. Every event, no matter how small, has a cause and an effect. This is the law of karma, the way the universe works. When one door closes, we often see it as the end. But with the eyes of mindfulness, it may just be a turning point, an opportunity hidden inside the shell of pain. Everything happens for a deeper reason. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha taught, mind is the forerunner of all things. Mind is their chief, and mind makes them. If one speaks or acts with an impure mind, suffering follows like the cartwheel follows the hoof of the ox. But if one speaks or acts with a pure mind, happiness follows like a shadow that never leaves. This means that happiness or suffering isn't determined by our circumstances, but by how we see those circumstances. If your mind is always resisting, always rejecting, even the smallest change can feel like a storm. But if your mind is open, ready to learn from whatever comes, then even a crisis can become the beginning of transformation. Many people say that only after deep loss, losing a job, a partner, or a loved one, did they truly wake up. And not in a religious sense, but in that quiet moment when they paused and asked, how am I really living? What do I truly want? What have I been neglecting in my own life? When we're inside our comfort zone, we rarely ask these questions. But a crisis, like a ringing bell, shakes us and turns our attention inward, forcing us to face ourselves. The lesson: nothing is meaningless. Have you ever looked back on a painful time and realized, if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't be the person I am today? It hurt, yes, but maybe that heartbreak woke you up from a toxic relationship. Maybe losing the job led you to discover your true passion. Maybe failure freed you from living under others' expectations and illusions. These moments are not punishments, they are wake-up calls. Not to break you, but to open your eyes to a deeper truth. We cannot always choose our circumstances, but we can always choose how we perceive and respond to them. When life doesn't go as planned, it's not a sign that you're on the wrong path. It may be an invitation to pause, let go of what no longer serves you, and open your heart to something deeper. In the next part, we'll explore why suffering is not a punishment but a silent teacher, and how you can transform pain instead of being overwhelmed by it. Suffering is not a punishment, it is a teacher. When we talk about suffering, most people think of it as something negative, something to be avoided, something to escape from as quickly as possible. But from the perspective of Buddhist wisdom, suffering is not the enemy. It is an invisible teacher, silent yet full of compassion. The Buddha did not teach us how to run away from suffering. He taught us how to face it, to recognize it, to understand it, and from there, to transform it. If we can observe suffering with mindfulness, it can become a doorway to deep self-understanding and insight into life. Many people wonder, if the Buddha was enlightened, why did he still get sick? Why did he age, experience sadness, and ultimately die? The answer lies in this. Enlightenment doesn't mean escaping circumstances, it means freeing ourselves from clinging and reactive patterns toward those circumstances. In the Four Noble Truths, the Buddha made it clear. Life is suffering. But he didn't stop there. After the truth of suffering, dukkha, comes the truth of the cause of suffering, craving and attachment. Then comes the truth of the cessation of suffering, the possibility of liberation. And finally, the path to end suffering, the Noble Eightfold Path. This means that suffering is not the end. It is the beginning, the starting point of an awakened journey. If we can receive it with awareness, suffering can become a torch lighting our way in the darkness. Suffering doesn't come to punish you. It comes to tell you something important. It's time to pause. It's time to turn inward and listen to the voice you've ignored for so long, the voice of your own heart. Have you ever felt lost in a relationship but held on because you were afraid of being alone? Have you stayed in a job that exhausted you just because you feared losing income? Have you worn a smile on the outside while breaking into pieces on the inside? Suffering comes when you can no longer pretend, when the masks no longer hide the truth. It forces you to confront yourself, no more avoiding, no more covering up. And it is precisely in that moment that you begin to grow. Not in the worldly sense of having a title, a salary, or status, but in the deeper sense of inner maturity. You begin to know who you are. You accept yourself, and you are no longer afraid of the comings and goings of life. There's a well-known Zen story. A student once asked a master, "Master, how can I be free from suffering?" The master replied, "You have two choices. 1, keep running from it and you will live in fear forever. Or 2, turn around and look directly into it. And when you have the courage to stop running, suffering will dissolve on its own." In real life, that's not easy. Our human instinct is to chase pleasure and avoid pain. But if we keep living by instinct, life becomes a cycle of craving and disappointment, hope and hurt. Mindfulness is the way out of that cycle. When you sit quietly, breathing in and breathing out with awareness, you begin to realize suffering doesn't kill you. It's just a feeling. Comes and goes like a wave. You are not your emotions. You are the one observing them. And when you can stay long enough to observe without judging or reacting, you begin to see the root causes of your pain, maybe an unmet expectation, maybe attachment, maybe old wounds left unhealed. Suffering teaches you how to let go. It teaches you to value what you have. It teaches you to open your heart not only to others but also to yourself. And most importantly, suffering doesn't last forever. Like the weather, it changes. Like the moon, it waxes and wanes. Like the breath, it comes and goes. If you can sit with your pain, without judgment, without pushing it away, without blaming yourself, slowly, it will soften. And underneath that rough surface, you'll discover a gentler, wiser, and more compassionate version of yourself. We don't pray for suffering, but when it comes, we can welcome it as a teacher. A strict teacher, maybe, but never a careless one. A teacher that might make you cry, but one who teaches you what it truly means to be alive. In the next part, we will explore why every challenge hides a life-changing opportunity if you can learn to see through the eyes of mindfulness. Every challenge is a chance to transform your life. In life, there are moments when we feel completely knocked down by circumstances. A door suddenly closes, a plan falls apart, a loved one leaves. These events often arrive without warning, leaving us confused, hurt, and even lost. But if we are mindful enough to look deeper into their nature, we will realize every challenge carries within it an opportunity not to go back to life as it was, but to awaken, grow, and transform from within. In Buddhist teachings, nothing happens by chance. Every cause creates an effect. Every experience, whether pleasant or painful, is the result of past conditions and causes. This doesn't mean you deserve to suffer. It means that life operates according to a profound order that the ordinary mind cannot always grasp. We are not victims of fate. We are students being invited into the next lesson of our life. Have you ever gone through a difficult event, only to later feel grateful that it happened? Perhaps losing a job led you to discover a new passion. A broken relationship taught you how to love yourself. An illness forced you to slow down and listen to your body. What seemed like misfortune at the time became a doorway to a more mindful way of living. One of the main reasons suffering feels so painful is because we expect life to follow our plans. We make schedules, dream up perfect futures, and cling to what we think should happen. When life unfolds differently, we feel disappointed or defeated. But if you can let go of those expectations, you may come to see that everything happens just as it needs to, no sooner, no later, not too much, not too little. There's a well-known Buddhist story about a farmer who lost his prized horse. His neighbors came to offer their sympathy, saying, "What bad luck." But the farmer calmly replied, "Who knows if it's good or bad?" A few days later, the horse returned, bringing a herd of wild horses with it. The neighbors came again, this time to congratulate him. "What good luck," they said. The farmer only said, "Who knows? Later." His son broke his leg trying to ride one of the wild horses. "How unfortunate," the neighbors cried. Still, the farmer remained calm. Weeks later, soldiers came to the village to draft young men for war. His son was spared due to his injury. This story reminds us, nothing is entirely good or bad when it first happens. Only with time, wisdom, and awareness do we begin to understand the deeper meaning of each event. In Buddhism, practitioners are encouraged to develop a broader perspective, one that goes beyond the small self and its narrow desires. When we view life through the lenses of impermanence and cause and effect, We stop fearing change and difficulty. We begin to understand that everything is in motion. What matters is not the situation itself, but the quality of our inner response to it. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" Instead of drowning in self-pity, turn inward, observe your pain, and use it as fuel for awakening. Instead of getting caught in a spiral of blame and anger, pause, breathe, and listen to what life is trying to whisper to you. Some doors must close so that more meaningful ones can open. Some people must leave so that you can finally learn to love yourself. Some failures are necessary to help you realize what truly matters in life. A difficult situation doesn't defeat you. Only refusing to learn from it keeps you stuck. When you are brave enough to face your pain, patient enough to walk through the dark, and humble enough to learn from what happens, you begin turning adversity into a turning point. Every fall is a chance to rise stronger. Every breakdown is a chance to rebuild on a more honest foundation. Every challenge is a test, not to punish you, but to help you realize you are far stronger than you ever imagined. In the next part, we will explore how to transform pain into wisdom through the daily practice of mindfulness. Transforming pain into wisdom through mindfulness. In life, we cannot avoid pain. But what matters more is how we respond to it. A person who lives mindfully doesn't let pain control their emotions. Instead, they use it as a material to understand themselves more deeply and begin the journey of transformation. This is the essence of mindfulness practice in Buddhism, a method that helps us face suffering without being overwhelmed by it. Mindfulness is the ability to clearly recognize what is happening in the present moment in your body, in your mind, and in your surroundings without judgment, without avoidance, and without clinging. When you're in pain, mindfulness helps you return to yourself, allowing you to listen to the pain honestly, gently, and with compassion. Rather than running away or trying to get rid of the feeling, you invite it in, observing it like an old friend bringing an important message. Practicing mindfulness doesn't mean sitting motionless for hours. It can be as simple as taking one deep, conscious breath when you start to feel anxious. It can be noticing the surge of thoughts without letting them carry you away. When you bring your attention to the present moment, you create an inner space where pain can be recognized, embraced, and gradually transformed. In the Anapanasati Sutta, Discourse on Mindful Breathing, the Buddha taught, breathing in, I am aware of the feeling. Breathing out, I calm the feeling. This is not just meditation guidance, it's a way of living. The breath is the bridge between the body and the mind, between surface turmoil and the quiet depths within you. When you breathe mindfully, you are no longer swept away by the current of thoughts and emotions. You become the observer, not judging, not forcing, just being present. There's a well-known saying in meditation tradition, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. Pain is a natural part of life. But suffering is a mental state we create when we resist, fear, or get caught in our stories. If your mind drifts into past regrets, future worries, or negative self-talk, you will drown in suffering. But if you come back to the present through each breath, each mindful step, you'll find an inner space of freedom where pain no longer controls you. Mindfulness helps you disidentify from your emotions. You are no longer the hopeless one or the betrayed one, you're simply a human being experiencing an emotion. The moment you step out of the role of the sufferer, you open the door to see the situation with wisdom. You can practice mindfulness in everyday actions. When washing the dishes, know you are washing the dishes. When walking, feel each step on the ground. When eating, savor each bite with gratitude and presence. These seemingly small actions nourish stillness and depth within you, preparing you to face greater life storms without being swept away. A Buddhist practitioner once said, "Every time I practice mindfulness, I come home." Home here does not refer to a physical place, but a state of resting deeply within yourself. When you have a solid refuge inside, you are no longer shaken by external waves. Pain may still be there, but it no longer dominates you. Instead, you become your own guide, your own light, your own healer. Mindfulness practice does not erase pain, but helps you walk through it with an open heart and clear mind. You learn to listen to your inner cries like you would listen to a child in need of love. You learn to say, I am hurting, but I'm not afraid. And from that very place of pain, a seed of wisdom begins to grow. Don't wait until everything calms down to practice mindfulness. It is precisely when life is most chaotic that you need the most awareness. Your breath is the anchor that keeps you steady in the storm. Your awareness is the light that leads you through the darkness. And every time you return to the present moment, you take one step closer to true freedom, turning each day into a journey of awakening. Awakening is not a sudden event that happens in an instant and lasts forever. True awakening is a continuous journey, an ongoing return to your true self, moment by moment, breath by breath, action by action, and relationship by relationship. It is within these seemingly small things, when done mindfully, that the door to awakening begins to open. Modern life often pulls us in many directions. We get caught up in work, plans, expectations, and worries, losing touch with the simple fact that we are alive. We eat without knowing we're eating. Speak without awareness of our words, breathe without realizing we're breathing. This lack of mindfulness turns us into machines, repeating the same motions until we burn out. But Buddhism teaches us that we don't need to go far to find peace or enlightenment. It is already here in the present moment if only we stop and come back to ourselves. An ordinary day can become a sacred practice. When you wake up in the morning, instead of rushing out of bed, sit quietly for a moment. Take a deep breath and feel grateful for the new day. When you wash your face, feel the cool water touching your skin. When you step out of bed, be aware that you are stepping. This is how we practice mindfulness, not in theory, but through real, tangible action. Every act is an opportunity to return to yourself. When you wash the dishes, don't do it just to get it done. Do it with care. Feel the temperature of the water, the scent of the soap, and the sensation of your hands on the dishes. In that moment, there are no scattered thoughts, no anxieties about the future, no regrets about the past. You are fully alive, present, and whole. Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "The miracle is not to walk on water, but to walk on the earth in mindfulness." This profound truth reminds us, the true miracle is not some supernatural feat, but our capacity to live deeply with what is already here, right now. When you wash the dishes, just wash the dishes. When you eat, just eat. When you listen to someone, be fully there with them. That presence is the greatest gift you can give, and also the greatest gift you give yourself. Many people believe that awakening requires renunciation, becoming a monk, or living in some special circumstance. But the truth is, mindfulness is a way of living. It doesn't matter who you are, what your job is, or where you live. Whether you're a homemaker, a factory worker, a teacher, or a business person, you can practice mindfulness. Just remember, the present moment is all you truly have, and every moment lived with depth and clarity is a step toward enlightenment. One essential element on this journey is gratitude. Gratitude isn't just a fleeting emotion we feel when we receive something. It's the ability to recognize beauty and value in the small, everyday things, especially those we often take for granted. Grateful to breathe, to eat, to see sunlight, to hear birdsong in the morning. When you live with gratitude, you no longer feel lacking. You no longer chase after something outside, because you realize that what you have is already enough. Gratitude also helps you embrace adversity with an open heart. Instead of focusing only on the negative, you begin to see the hidden lessons within every challenge. You understand that no experience is meaningless. Even pain, when received with awareness, can be a powerful teacher, a catalyst for growth, and a doorway back to your true essence. Turning each day into a journey of awakening requires persistence. It is not always an easy path. There will be moments of doubt, confusion, and even the urge to give up. But remember, the light never truly disappears. It is only sometimes hidden by the clouds. Be patient. Be gentle with yourself. Begin again, not once, but as many times as needed, so long as you don't give up. You don't have to walk this path alone. Seek a community, a teacher, or simply a kindred spirit. Someone who reminds you to come home when you lose your way. The power of practicing together is immense. When you know you're not alone, you'll find the strength to keep going. And each step you take, no matter how small, helps illuminate the path ahead. In the next section, we'll dive deeper into the art of letting go, a core skill for freeing ourselves from the burdens of suffering and stepping into inner freedom. Letting go for freedom, the art of liberation. Throughout our lives, we carry countless burdens, unfulfilled expectations, unhealed wounds, unforgettable memories. Over time, we accumulate a storehouse of worries, regrets, anger, and fear. We cling to the past and struggle to let go. And it is this very clinging that lies at the root of our suffering. In Buddhist teachings, letting go does not mean rejecting life or avoiding responsibility. Letting go is an act of deep wisdom. It means recognizing that some things are beyond our control, impossible to hold on to, and that trying to grasp them only leads to more suffering. Letting go is a conscious choice made by those who are awake, those who realize that true inner freedom begins the moment we stop holding on. There is an old Buddhist story about two monks walking along a muddy path. They come across a woman struggling to cross the muddy road. One monk gently picks her up and carries her across. The two monks continue their journey in silence. Hours later, the second monk finally speaks. "We are monks. We shouldn't have touched a woman like that." The first monk smiles and replies, "I put her down at the riverbank hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" Though simple, the story carries a profound truth. Often we are not weighed down by external circumstances, but by the mind's unwillingness to let go. Past events, hurtful words, bad decisions. If we keep carrying them, they become heavy burdens that prevent us from moving forward. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means learning not to let the past control the present. It is forgiveness not only of others but most importantly of ourselves. We have all made mistakes, said things we shouldn't have, acted in ignorance. But if we continue to punish ourselves, we'll never grow or evolve. The Buddha taught that everything is impermanent. What you have today may be gone tomorrow. Whatever you're going through, no matter how painful, will pass. Everything is changing moment by moment. When we truly understand impermanence, we begin to let go because we realize that nothing can be held onto forever, not even ourselves. One of the hardest things to let go of is the ego, the self-image. We cling to our identity. Who we think we are, who we must become, how we must be seen. When life doesn't go our way, we suffer because we feel like failures. But if we can release the ego, our hearts begin to open. When we no longer need to prove anything, we are free. When we stop craving validation, we feel whole. Letting go also means releasing our need for control. We often try to control everything: our work, our relationships, other people's feelings, our future. But life never fully bends to our will. Every time we try to control what's beyond us, we lose our peace. When we learn to surrender and accept things as they are, a sense of ease and calm naturally arises. The journey of letting go is not something that happens overnight. It's a practice, a learning process we return to every day. Whenever you feel angry, hurt, or tense, pause and ask yourself, what am I holding on to? Is it a need to be loved? A fear of abandonment? A desire to be right? Once you identify what you're clinging to, you can begin to loosen your grip. A simple practice to support letting go is mindful breathing. Inhale deeply and feel the air entering your body. Exhale slowly and imagine releasing all your worries. Each breath is an opportunity to release tension and return to your grounded center. The more consistently you practice, the less you will be controlled by the external world. Ultimately, letting go is not weakness, it's a profound strength. The one who dares to let go is the one with true inner power, the wisdom to discern what to hold and what to release. In letting go, we lose nothing, we gain freedom. Compassion for oneself, the key to inner healing. On the journey of spiritual practice and personal growth, many of us find it easy to empathize with others' pain, yet are extremely harsh with ourselves. When we make mistakes, we blame ourselves. When we fail, we torment ourselves. When we fall short of expectations, we belittle ourselves. Unknowingly, we turn our inner world into a battlefield, where the one who suffers the most is often ourselves. Buddhism teaches that compassion isn't just something we extend outward, it must also arise from within. Being compassionate toward ourselves isn't about indulgence or making excuses. It is a profound act of love, understanding, and healing. When we embrace ourselves with gentleness and acceptance, we lay the foundation for a life of spiritual stability and inner peace. One deep-rooted reason we lack self-compassion is because we tend to identify ourselves with our mistakes. We think, I failed, so I must be a failure. But on the path of mindfulness, we come to understand that our essence is not defined by fleeting actions, but by our capacity for awareness and transformation. A single mistake does not define who we are. Just as a speck of dirt cannot defile the entire ocean, a moment of weakness does not diminish the wholeness of our soul. There's a beautiful image in Buddhist tradition. When we see a child fall while learning to walk, no one scolds or shames them. Instead, we gently help them up, smile, and encourage them. It's okay. You did well. Keep trying. If we can love a child in this way, why can't we offer that same kindness to ourselves every time we stumble? Self-compassion also means listening to ourselves. In the hectic pace of modern life, many of us forget to pause and ask, am I really okay? Am I tired? Is there something within me that needs to be held and healed? We get caught in a race of responsibilities, expectations, and achievements, and we lose touch with the soft, quiet voice inside that's simply asking to rest, to be heard, to be forgiven. The Buddha said, you can search throughout the entire universe for someone who is more deserving of your love and compassion than yourself, and you will not find that person. You, yourself, deserve your love and compassion just as much as anyone else in the universe. Practicing self-compassion begins with changing our inner dialogue. Instead of saying things like, what's wrong with me? We can say, I'm learning. I've done my best. Instead of, I'm so weak, we can say, I'm hurting right now, and that's okay. The language we use with ourselves is the energy we feed our inner world every day. If that energy is filled with kindness, our hearts will slowly soften, open, and heal. A powerful practice is self-compassion meditation. You can sit quietly, place a hand over your heart, and gently whisper to yourself, I deserve love. I'm doing my best. I'm not perfect, but I'm on the right path. These simple words, when repeated mindfully, can bring about deep transformation from within. Compassion also means setting healthy boundaries. Sometimes, it means learning to say no to things that harm us, whether it's a relationship, a habit, or a situation. Love isn't always soft. Sometimes it takes courage and firmness. Choosing what's right for ourselves is not selfish, it's the foundation of true compassion. Because if we don't know how to love ourselves properly, it's hard to fully love anyone else. Furthermore, self-compassion cannot be separated from acceptance. When we stop fighting the imperfect parts of ourselves, we begin to connect with our inner wholeness. Acceptance doesn't mean we stop growing, it means we create a steady ground from which genuine growth can arise, not from rejection or pressure, but from love. Compassion is the bridge that connects us to our true nature beyond all the roles, masks, and fears of judgment. When we are brave enough to look at ourselves through the lens of love, we are also brave enough to heal, to evolve, and to live authentically. In the next section, we will explore the art of mindful silence, the practice of pausing in a world that never stops, to discover deep stillness in every breath, every step, and every moment of life. Mindful silence, pausing to find your true self. In the fast pace of modern life, we seem to be swept away by speed. Each day, we wake up with a long to-do list, goals to accomplish, and expectations to fulfill. We move fast, talk fast, think fast, to the point of forgetting how to pause. And when we can't pause, we lose the chance to truly connect with ourselves and with the depth of life happening right here, in the present moment. Buddhism teaches that silence is not just the absence of sound. It is a space of awareness. In mindful silence, the mind is relaxed, the body lets go, and the heart becomes still enough to listen. This is not silence to escape, but silence to truly see. In this stillness, the noise begins to settle and deep truths have the chance to surface. When the mind rests in mindful silence, we begin to realize that most of our anxiety and stress don't arise from reality itself, but from the relentless stream of thoughts. We live trapped in memories of the past or projections of the future, forgetting that the present moment is the only place where life actually happens. In that quiet space, we don't merely exist, we are truly alive. One powerful practice in the Buddhist tradition is silent meditation. When we sit in stillness, doing nothing, saying nothing, reacting to nothing, we stop running or clinging and simply remain present. Every breath is an invitation to come back home to ourselves. Each small movement of the body is a gentle reminder. I'm still here. I'm still alive. At first, silence can feel uncomfortable. Restlessness, anxiety, even fear may arise. That's because when the outer noise fades, the inner noise becomes louder. Unprocessed emotions, hidden thoughts, and old wounds rise to the surface. But instead of fleeing from them, silent meditation invites us to face them with courage and compassion. There's a beautiful image in meditation. When a glass of muddy water is left undisturbed, the sediments naturally settle. In the same way, when the mind is placed in stillness with mindfulness, inner turbulence gradually clears, revealing a mind that is bright and calm. We don't need to retreat to a monastery or deep forest to cultivate mindful silence. We can bring it into our daily lives in a few quiet minutes each morning without phones or news, just being with our breath and body. It can be present as we wash dishes, fold clothes, or take a walk, fully aware of each action, not letting the mind wander. It can be a moment under a tree, looking at the sky, feeling life breathing with us. Silence is not muteness, it's a profound way of communicating with ourselves, with nature, and with the truth. In silence, we can hear the voice of the heart. In silence, we can see the essence of all things. In silence, we connect to a depth that words can never reach. Mindful silence also connects us to a subtle but deep joy, the joy of a complete breath. A peaceful step, a moment free from pressure, noise, or expectations. This is a joy that doesn't come from the outside, doesn't need a reason, and isn't dependent. It arises from full presence and inner freedom. In a noisy world, those who live in silence know how to protect their energy. In a scattered society, those who turn inward are the ones truly moving forward. In a time that values fast reactions, those who pause are those truly awake. Mindful silence doesn't separate us from life, it deepens our presence within it. It doesn't make us passive, it makes our actions more wise. It doesn't weaken us, it gives us the strength not to be swept away by external chaos. When we learn to pause, we learn to truly live. And when we live deeply in each moment, even without speaking a word, we're sending out the most beautiful message of our life, the message of mindfulness, awareness, and genuine love. In the next part, we will explore another deep aspect of spiritual practice, letting go of expectations, the art of living freely in everyday life. Letting go of expectations, the art of living freely in everyday life. Life often feels like a constant balancing act between what we desire and what actually happens. We set goals, imagine futures, and hold on to expectations of ourselves, others, and the world around us. These expectations can serve as guides, pushing us toward growth and achievement. Yet, when they become rigid demands or sources of attachment, they transform into chains that weigh us down, limiting our freedom and joy. Buddhism teaches that much of our suffering arises from attachment, not just to material things, but to ideas, plans, and hopes that we cling to tightly. Expectations are a form of attachment. They are mental images we hold about how life should be, how people should behave, or how events ought to unfold. When reality diverges from these mental scripts, frustration, disappointment, and resentment arise naturally. Letting go of expectations does not mean becoming passive or giving up on our dreams. Rather, it means cultivating an attitude of openness and acceptance toward life as it is, unpredictable, imperfect, and constantly changing. This openness does not suppress our intentions but frees them from the grip of control and resistance. It allows us to engage with life more fully, with curiosity, courage, and flexibility. One practical way to begin letting go is by bringing awareness to our expectations as they arise. Notice the tightness in the chest, the impatience in the mind, or the subtle tension in the body when things don't go our way. Acknowledge these feelings with kindness rather than judgment. This mindfulness creates space, the space in which change can happen. Instead of reacting automatically, we pause, breathe, and gently release the need for things to be different. Another important practice is embracing impermanence. A central truth in Buddhist teaching. Everything in life is in flux, relationships evolve, careers shift, health changes, and even our own thoughts and emotions flow like waves. When we deeply understand this impermanence, we begin to loosen our grasp on fixed expectations. We realize that clinging to certainty is like trying to hold water in our hands. It slips away no matter how tightly we try to grasp. Letting go also invites us to cultivate gratitude for the present moment exactly as it is. When we stop chasing after an ideal future or lamenting a lost past, we can fully appreciate the richness of now. This appreciation does not deny life's difficulties, but meets them with openness and resilience. We learn that freedom is found not in perfect circumstances, but in a peaceful heart that embraces whatever arises. In daily life, letting go of expectations can transform our relationships. We often suffer because we expect others to behave in certain ways, to meet our needs, validate us, or act according to our preferences. When these expectations are unmet, conflicts and disappointments ensue. By practicing non-attachment to others' behaviors, we create space for genuine connection based on acceptance and compassion. We begin to love others for who they truly are, not who we want them to be. This doesn't mean we tolerate harmful behavior or lose healthy boundaries. It means we accept the unpredictability of people's actions without internalizing them as personal failures or rejections. We learn to respond with kindness rather than judgment, with understanding rather than blame. This freedom in relationship deepens our sense of connection and peace. Letting go of expectations also nurtures creativity and spontaneity. When we stop trying to control every outcome, we become open to new possibilities and surprises. Life reveals unexpected gifts and lessons that rigid plans would have blinded us to. This flexibility is a form of wisdom, the wisdom to flow with life rather than against it. It is natural for the mind to cling, to want certainty and safety. Letting go is a gradual journey, not an instant transformation. There will be moments when old habits pull us back into resistance and frustration. In those moments, the practice is to return gently to mindfulness and compassion for ourselves. Each moment of awareness is a step toward freedom. Buddhist teachers often use the metaphor of the lotus flower growing out of the mud. Our attachments and expectations can feel like the murky waters of that mud, tangled and heavy. Yet, with patient mindfulness, we can rise above these waters, blooming into freedom and clarity. In practical terms, you might start your day with a simple intention to notice any expectations you carry. Throughout the day, check in with yourself. Are you holding tightly to a particular outcome? Are you resisting what is? Take a deep breath and gently remind yourself that freedom lies in letting go. Journaling can be a helpful tool. Write down your expectations and explore how they affect your mood and actions. Reflect on times when letting go led to peace or new opportunities. Meditation on impermanence or loving kindness can also support this process. Ultimately, letting go of expectations is the art of living freely, free from the prisons of our own making, free to embrace life's fullness with an open heart. It is a path that leads not away from the world, but into a deeper, more joyful engagement with it. As you practice this art, you may find that peace and happiness become less dependent on external conditions and more rooted in your own presence and awareness. This is true freedom, a freedom born from acceptance, compassion, and the courage to be exactly as you are. In the next part, we will explore how mindfulness and letting go can enrich our relationships, bringing healing and connection in a fragmented world. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into mindfulness, silence, and the art of letting go. In a world that never seems to slow down, learning to pause, breathe, and truly be present is one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves. When we embrace the power of mindful silence and release our expectations, we open the door to a life filled with freedom, clarity, and deep peace. If you found value in this video, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss a moment of inspiration and practical wisdom. Together, we'll explore more ways to live fully, love deeply, and awaken to the beauty of each present moment. Don't forget to like this video, share it with friends who might benefit, and leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your experiences with mindfulness and letting go. Remember, your journey to a peaceful, mindful life starts here, one breath at a time. Stay present, stay peaceful, and I'll see you in the next video.